Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. The Honorable Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, Honorable Ministers, Assistant Ministers, and Honorable Members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the motion before that is moved by the Honorable Prime Minister in response to the most gracious address delivered by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Fiji, to Ranganatuidakau at the opening of the session of Parliament on the 16th of February, 2026. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency's address outlines a clear national vision anchored on unity, accountability, good governance, and service to the people of Fiji. It reminds us that the work of this Parliament must never lose sight on its ultimate purpose, that is to improve the lives and well-being of our people. As Assistant Minister for Health and Medical Services, I wish to focus my contribution today on the health of our nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, a nation cannot build a strong economy with a weak health system. A nation cannot build strong communities with sick families. A nation cannot build a prosperous future for its people when its people are not well or unhealthy. Health is not only a social responsibility. Health is a national security, is an economic productivity, and health is also a national development. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to briefly address concerns raised by members of the opposition in this Parliament, specifically Honorable Alvik Maharaj, Honorable Vijay Nath, and others, regarding the availability of doctors and nurses in Fiji. Mr. Speaker, while the workforce challenges exist, our discussion in this House must always be guided on facts. The World Bank Health Sector Review 2024 published a report, namely Mombulambula Kambulambalavo, indicates that Fiji's doctors to population ratio remain generally within acceptable international threshold. However, nurses' numbers remain slightly below the benchmark recommended by the WHO. Recognizing these challenges, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Health continues to strengthen its recruitment, in-service training, and its retention strategies for its human resources. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, behind every clinic that opens in the morning, behind every patient that receives treatment, in every life that is saved, there is a health worker. Our doctors, nurses, pharmacists, technicians, cleaners, and support staff continue to serve under demanding conditions. They are the backbone of our health system. And today, in this House, we acknowledge them for their dedication, their perseverance, and sacrifices. Mr. Speaker, allow me to make a few remarks in support to the Honorable Minister for Health and Medical Services statement yesterday on the escalating HIV crisis. One of the most urgent public health challenges confronting our nation today is the rapid increase in HIV infection in Fiji. The latest national data indicates that Fiji is now facing what experts believe and describe as a generalized HIV epidemic. Cumulative HIV diagnosis increased from approximately 3,660 cases in 2024 to about 5,676 cases in 2025. Annual infections rose dramatically from 415 new cases in 2023 to 1,583 in 2024. Important to note, Mr. Speaker, sir, these figures only represent those that were captured and tested at our various health settings. There are probably 3 times more infected individuals that have not been tested yet, and that is a worrying situation that we are in right now. If urgent action is not taken, projection indicates that Fiji could record more than 2,000 new infections this year alone. Mr. Speaker, sir, these are not just statistics. These are our sons, our daughters, our grandchildren. These are members of our communities. These are Fijians. When this escalating number becomes clear, the Ministry recognized that stronger national coordination is urgently essential. Let me say this honestly in this Parliament. Government should have acted earlier. Mr. Speaker, sir, it was noted that the Ministry has raised early warnings with the rise of HIV infection in previous years during the previous administration. But those warnings were not given urgency required then. You've let our guard down too soon since 2019. Today we are dealing with the consequences of those delays. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is not a time to blame. This is an hour for bold and decisive leadership. The nation expects action, and the time to act is now. Mr. Speaker, sir, perhaps the most alarming aspect of this crisis is the growing number of infections among our young people between the age of 20 to 24. Our youth is in the center of this HIV epidemic. These are young Fijians who should be building their futures, young people who should be studying, working, and starting families, contributing to our national development. Many will now face the reality of living with a lifelong medical condition. Mr. Speaker, sir, when disease begins to affect the youth of our nation, it is no longer just a health issue, it becomes a national development crisis. Mr. Speaker, sir, another disturbing factor contributing to the spread of HIV is the increasing presence of illicit drugs entering through our porous borders and the dangerous sharing of injecting equipment. Reports have emerged of the practice known as Bluetoothing, where drugs are transferred between individuals using infected needles and syringes. This behavior dramatically increases the risk of HIV transmission and other bloodborne infection. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me be very clear. Drugs destroy lives. Drugs destroy families. And drugs also destroy the future of a nation. This problem cannot be solved by health sector alone. It requires a coordinated response involving law enforcement, education system, a great council of chiefs, community leaders, faith-based organizations, and families. Because when drugs enter a community, they destroy our social fabric and destroy generations. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, sir, HIV is a chronic disease that requires lifelong treatment. Individuals diagnosed with HIV will now have to take antiretroviral medication every single day for the rest of their lives to keep the viral load low, whereby individuals will not be in a position to spread or transmit the virus. If current trend continue, projections indicate Fiji would soon have close to 9,000 people living with HIV. Every one of these individuals will require continuous treatment, monitoring, and clinical support. This will induce further burden to our already stretched public health system. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cost of this treatment will run into millions of dollars over the coming decades, which is why prevention today is not only a health investment, it's a prevention in our financial investment to our nation's future. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Minister for Health and Medical Services has called for multi-party, multi-sectoral national response because HIV is not a political issue. HIV does not ask which political party you support. HIV does not ask which province you come from, does not ask which religion you belong to. It affects everyone, and therefore the response must come from everyone: government, opposition, civil society, faith-based organizations, traditional leaders, and communities must stand together. Because when a nation faces a health crisis, unity is not optional, unity is necessary. Mr. Speaker, sir, alongside addressing emerging health threats, government continues to strengthen healthcare infrastructure across the country. Ministry of Health oversees more than 200 health facilities nationwide, and the ongoing upgrades are improving services across all divisions. Recent projects include new clinic at Londoni Health Center, Naililili Nursing Station in Rewa, Perata Nursing Station in Tailebu. Upgrading works are about to be completed at Nawin Kambi Nursing Station in Namosi and Nayabu Health Center in Buka Tailebu. Major infrastructure maintenance work have also strengthened services at Vunisea Hospital in Kandau and Tavini Hospital. Government has also commenced construction work at the Tokemalu Nursing Station in Ra to expand services of primary health care in that area. In the Northern Division, upgrading work at Nreketi Health Center are improving services for community along the Lambasa-Namboalu corridor. Further infrastructure works to accommodate new services is in progress at Nreketi Health Center. Mr. Speaker, sir, even as we speak, a team of health professionals is traveling to the Southern Lao Group to provide both medical outreach services and facility repair in Matuku and Moala Islands. They will be there for a month to conduct medical outreach and perform the much-needed minor repairs at Lebukendaku Nursing Station, Matuku and the Koba Nursing Station, and Moala Health Centers. Once these works are completed, all the 18 health facilities in the Lao Maritime region will meet the required operational standards. This reflects government's commitment to equitable health care access for all Fijians. Because the principle guiding this government is simple: health care must not depend on where you live. Whether a person lives in Suba, in the interior of Itilebu, or on a remote maritime island, every Fijian deserves access to quality health care. Mr. Speaker, sir, reliable access to medicine is essential for a functioning health system. The Fiji Pharmaceutical and Biomedical Services continue to strengthen procurement, a national supply chain system. The M-Supply digital logistics system now allows real-time monitoring of medicine stocks across the 212 health facilities nationwide. This digital transformation enables better forecasting, reduces shortages, and improves accountability in the management of medical supplies. I'm happy to inform the House that the stock out of medicine has drastically improved. And I thank the Director of FPBS and his staff for their effort in managing the tender process, procurement, and the local supply chain. Mr. Speaker, sir, government is also investing in modern diagnostic technologies. In January this year, a new digital X-ray unit have been installed at CWM Hospital and Nosori Health Center, with further installation planning underway for Singatoka Hospital, Rakaraki Hospital, Vunindau Hospital, Taviuni Hospital, and Sabsabu Hospital. This will ensure that patients in rural and maritime areas can access the same advanced radiology diagnostic services as those in the urban centers. Mr. Speaker, while new health threats continue to emerge, the greatest long-term health burden facing Fiji remain the non-communicable diseases. Approximately 84% of all deaths in Fiji are linked to NCDs, including heart disease, diabetes, cancers. Mr. Speaker, sir, hospitals treat disease, but prevention protects a nation. That is why government is strengthening prevention strategies through nutrition policies, wellness program, community education. Efforts are underway to improve food labeling on food that are on the supermarket shelves, strengthens regulation around unhealthy foods, and promote healthier lifestyle across our communities. And I urge all Fijians, take control of your own health through healthy lifestyle habits. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, the address delivered by His Excellency the President provides a clear roadmap for our nation. It reminds us that the strength of Fiji lies not only in our institution, but in our shared commitment to care for one another. The health of our people must remain at the center of our nation's development agenda, because when our people are healthy, our economy will grow stronger, our communities become healthier, and our nation becomes prosperous. Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore fully support the motion by the Honorable Prime Minister in response to the most gracious address delivered by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Fiji. Nawalebu, thank you, and may God bless our beloved Fiji.